Kashi is a sweet and charming girl who hands out invitation flyers for a fight to be held at the local stadium. She is the daughter of Coach Lee, who founded the Raging Tiger Club. They used to be popular, but now the only worthy fighter is the coach's second daughter, Lee Eunju. At some point, Kashi learns that the cruel Shuno has become the second shareholder of a large corporation. The first thing he decided to immediately disband the unprofitable branches, and their fight club is included in this list. A worried girl tries to tell her father and friends about it, but they ignore it because Lee Eunju comes out to fight. Shuno, at the request of his assistant, comes to the fight club and looks at what is happening, but sees no point in funding this cruel and unprofitable project. Lee Eunju is having a hard time, and it seems that she will lose the battle, but Kashi does not doubt her, because the girl is just waiting for the right moment to strike a decisive blow. Hurrying back to her work, Kashi leaves as she suddenly notices that the heavy signboard is about to fall and hit the man standing underneath it. The pretty girl saves him, performing a noble and brave act. After learning that the rescued man is Shuno, Kashi tries to talk to him and convince him to give up the idea of closing the section, but the cynical businessman remains adamant. As it turned out, the late father of the main shareholder of the company concluded a contract with Kashi's father, in which he indicated that the coach will receive ownership of the stadium if he works there for 15 years. That date is in 3 days, so Shuno orders the section to be closed down immediately and kicks out the Raging Tiger team. Ji Xiao, who is also a member of the club, overhears this conversation and finds documents to prove that the stadium can be appropriated. It seems like a chance for salvation, but his father reacts negatively to this news, considering it unnecessary. His club is not what it used to be, and the only worthy fighter is daughter Lee Eunju. They are unprofitable and don't invite new fighters, so appropriating the stadium for themselves seems like a dishonorable idea. The next morning, Suyuno is surrounded by hundreds of reporters asking provocative questions. Realizing that the man is in trouble, Kashi distracts the press with balls and kidnaps the rich man. He is uninspired by the idea of riding a pink moped, but is forced to obey the girl in order to escape the pesky journalists. Soon the couple is involved in an accident and find themselves in a romantic situation. Taking advantage of the situation, Kashi again asks to spare the sports club, but the man is not going to do any favors and promises to sue her for harassment. Meanwhile, her father decides to do the honorable thing and give up the stadium, hoping that their team won't be kicked out. Despite the generous gesture, Shuno continues to insist on disbanding the team, as he wants to tear down the stadium and build a profitable shopping mall. After learning that the rich man needs a security guard, Kashi decides to take the job. Her friends are skeptical, because the girl is not a fighter and is overly emotional, which can interfere with the work. Not having a better option, she trains hard and goes to the interview. The guards have 3 minutes to secure the businessman, and Kashi navigates faster than anyone else. She finds a man with a knife and aggressively stops him, thanks to which she passes the selection and gets the job with a 1-month probationary period. In the evening, Shuno meets with a psychologist to refuse further rehabilitation sessions. As it turned out, the man became cold-blooded after the loss of his mother and lost the ability to express emotions. During the sessions, a girl he has never seen before worked with him, unaware that it was Kashi. The couple don't see each other, but are genuinely supportive as they try to balance their emotionalism, but this is their last meeting in the psychologist's office. As they leave, they never meet face to face, never learning about the person who helped them solve their problems. At night, Shuno has a nightmarish dream related to his painful memories. After being in a car accident, he lost his mother, but some girl supported him and gave him her bracelet. Unfortunately, Shuno doesn't remember the girl's name or appearance, but he is grateful for her support in a difficult moment. Following the girl's advice from his last session with the psychologist, Shuno tries to smile, but does it frighteningly clumsily. Meeting Kashi in the parking lot, who has begun her bodyguard duties, the rich man asks her to change her clothes, because the girl is attracting too much attention. Not having the time and opportunity to do so, Kashi provokes the man and changes her clothes on the street. Realizing that she will not stop, Shuno gives her a place in the car. A little later, the assistant introduces her to the team and asks her to show her fighting skills. The others are skeptical of the girl's ability to be a bodyguard, but the assistant decides to prove that she is a true professional. He hits the girl in the head with a magazine and immediately gets hit in the shoulder. At the same moment, Shuno feels a pain in his head and becomes aware of what happened, realizing that he has pain where Keshi was hit. Meanwhile, Lee Eunju becomes the champion of the wrestling competition, and the assistant convinces the boss not to shut down the section, as it could become popular and make a good profit. A little later, Shuno forbids Keshia to touch him and promises to fine her for every attempt to violate his personal space. In the evening, the girl decides to improve her fighting skills and asks her friend to help her in this. The beauties organize a sparring session, during which Keshia is beaten badly. The girl does not feel pain, unlike Shuno, who feels pain from each blow, as a result of which the man loses consciousness. In the morning, Keshi goes to work and notices that the boss is late. Assuming that something has happened to him, she goes inside and finds Shuno lying on the floor. Trying to administer first aid, the girl gives him CPR as the man suddenly regains consciousness. He is in pain all over his body and asks for ointment, but Shuno has no injuries or other damage. His arm hurts the most and Keshia has a bruise in the same place, which puzzles the man. He guesses that something strange is going on because the girl was fighting with her friend at night, and he felt the pain from the blows on her body. At some point, Keshi goes to the bathroom due to the fact that she has started her critical days. At the same time, Shuno starts suffering from terrible stomach pain and asks to call an ambulance. Once at the hospital, the couple meets a doctor who thoroughly examines the rich man. The doctor finds nothing suspicious and does not understand what is happening to Shuno. Remembering what girls experience during their critical days, Keshi begins to take care of the man by placing pillows under his legs. Realizing this is working, she brings him tea and a pill for menstrual pain. This shocks not only the couple, but also the old men in the neighborhood, as Shuno shows every sign of having his critical days. In an attempt to test the theory, the man grabs Keshi by the cheeks and realizes that it is he, not she, who is in pain. Leaving for the hospital, the girl decides to help the child and remove the balloon from the tree. Fearing for her and feeling the pain of Keshia's injuries, Shuno catches her at the bottom and asks her to stay out of trouble. Noticing her boss's strange behavior, the girl assumes that he has a crush on her. Starting the next morning, he is hounded by the press and fired employees ready to beat up the rich man. Yangsun pretends to be the boss and approaches the reporters to confess his sympathy to Linwen on live TV. The disgruntled people find Zuno anyway and attack him, so the businessman and his bodyguard flee. At night, Keshi is practicing with Linwen and gets punched in the face, causing Zuno to suffer. The girl notices that she feels no pain and asks her friends to beat her up, but the rich man forbids hurting Keshi. Taking her to his house, he orders the girl to live in his house. Keshi assumes that the rich man is in love, not realizing that he is afraid of physical pain, though he doesn't understand the reason for it. At the same time, Yangsun flirts with Linwen in every possible way and seems to make the first successes, but the girl does not give in to attempts to seduce her, believing that it is a difficult task. The businessman's assistant does not doubt his abilities because he fell in love with the beauty too much and is ready to do anything to get her attention. At night, Shuno forbids Keshia to leave his room and ties the girl to himself so that she does not escape while he sleeps. The couple tosses and turns for a long time and can't sleep, but eventually wake up in the same bed, which shocks both Keshia and Shuno. After untangling the girl, the man chases her away, but Keshi falls and breaks a glass. Trying to save her, the rich man puts up his hand and wounds her, but protects the pretty girl. Treating the wounds, she thinks it's a crush and doesn't believe Shuno's words about enduring the pain instead of her. Yangsun comes to see her boss and learns that Keshi spent the night at his house. The rich man asks to rewrite the girl's contract and bring her belongings to his house. Casey is strongly opposed and leaves, not agreeing even to a very large salary. A little later, she talks to her friends and realizes that she did wrong, because the rich man in love can be used for selfish purposes, preventing the boxing section from being closed. At the same time, Yangsun, as a more experienced lover, gives the boss some useful advice so that he can persuade Kexia to accept his offer to live with him. The next morning, Kexi sees her friends forced to practice on the street to attract new clients. People ignore and don't notice them and throw away their flyers, which upsets the girl, and she realizes that she refused the rich man for nothing. The demolition of the hall is supposed to take place in the next few days, but because of Jixio's scandalous publications, they have to postpone the plans for 3 months. A little later, Keshi is having a drink with her friends, but her boss calls her and asks her to come over immediately. He is drunk and in a bad mood, so he asks her to take a pill for a headache to make him feel better. In the end, Keshi accepts Shuno's terms, and he agrees to the girl's demands. Unable to tell her father the truth, the girl claims that she will live in the dormitory of their company and moves in with her boss. In the evening, the friends help to pack, with Wei choosing sexy lingerie for Kezia, and Linwen suggests using a bat and other means of self-defense if the boss allows himself extra. Once at the boss's house, Keshi listens to the rules of cohabitation and goes to her room, the one she's dreamed of since childhood. The next morning, she embarrasses Shuno as they share a bathroom and need to use the restroom. The girl prepares breakfast, but the man refuses to eat. When Keshi leaves, he tastes her dishes and enjoys them, which pleases the girl. A little later, she decides to practice and sings, which annoys the businessman. He tries to tape the beauty's mouth with duct tape, but at some point the couple falls on the couch and accidentally kisses. Frightened by the awkward moment, Keshi punches her boss in the face and then treats his black eye. Meanwhile, Yangsen goes on an excursion with Linwen and protects her from an annoying passenger, much to the girl's delight. A little later, Keshi prepares lunch, but the man refuses to eat rice, as it is the same dish as the one his late mother used to cook for him. Shuno leaves, and the girl begins to cry and does not understand the reason for her emotions. The next morning they go to work, and it turns out that it is the businessman's birthday. Colleagues try to congratulate him, but he is categorically against it. Keshi tries to understand the reason for this, but their conversation ends in a quarrel, after which Shuno leaves. Yangsen tells her that this is the day of the terrible accident, so the rich man is not celebrating his birthday. Realizing how sad and lonely he is, Keshi goes to the scene of the accident and supports the man. During their dialogue, the couple realizes that they have helped each other in psychologist sessions and have known each other for a long time, though they haven't seen each other before. Jixio learns that Keshi is living in a rich man's house and reacts negatively, but Wei asks him not to tell the girl's father about it. In the evening, Keshi and Shuno go to a cafe where they learn that the man feels the girl's physical pain, and she feels his emotions. At one point, Shuno complains of stomach pain, and the girl goes to the pharmacy. At the same time, he is attacked by a bankrupt businessman, but Keshi defends the man in time, getting hit in the head with a bat. Her head is shattered, but the pain is felt by Shuno. After slapping herself, the girl becomes convinced that he is telling the truth, but they don't understand why this is happening to them. Assuming that they are destined to be together, Keshi hugs Shuno and agrees to a fine for touching him. The man shows no emotion and asks her to stop hugging him, then demands that she transfer the money to a designated account as punishment for the rash act. The next morning, Keshi suggests that they try different ways that will allow them to return the emotion and physical pain to the one to whom she belongs. To do so, the couple decides to confront each other with all their might. After tying the man to a chair and taking acceleration, Keshi crashes into him, but it doesn't help. She then suggests using electric shocks, but a deputy comes home, catching the couple in an awkward position. Meanwhile, Keshi's father comes to a rival fight club to watch his second daughter. Leonju trains hard and works hard, but it turns out that she is not a professional enough athlete. The experts criticize her and consider her a wastrel who can only be used because of her looks. The father is offended by this because he raised his daughter as a professional fighter and does not want others to profit from her. He asks his daughter to return to the Raging Tigers team, but Leonju refuses him and leaves. At the same time, Shuno learns that the person who criticized him on the internet is Kixia Jixio's crush. A few minutes later, he walks out into the hallway and sees Jixio hugging the girl, which makes the rich man feel jealous. The businessman shows his superiority and disposes of Kexia, and suggests that Jixio continue to criticize him publicly with the condition that he prove the value of the sports club or else it will close once and for all. In the evening, Keshi decides that a lightning strike will help bring back feelings and emotions and prepares everything to do so. Shuno is skeptical about the possibility of a thunderstorm as lightning suddenly begins to flash and the frightened girl jumps into his arms. Realizing she's being silly, he asks her to stop looking for ideas on the internet and agrees to the exchange of emotions and physical pain, because it's better than feeling nothing. The next morning, Linwen arrives at Suno's office to meet her friend. The rich man is against their companionship, but the lovesick Yangsen calls Linwen his girlfriend and demands that the girlfriends can continue to be friends, blackmailing her boss. Kexia is forbidden to work and her coworkers know it, so they don't let her do anything. In the evening, the girl cooks dinner and does not notice how she traumatizes herself. Shuno asks her to be careful because he feels this pain, but at the same time he does not want to change anything and asks her to stop looking for methods to fix the situation. Knowing how women feel, Shuno signs an order that they will have days off during their critical days. Keshi accidentally spills water on her boss and tries to remedy the situation, but ends up falling into his lap in front of Yangsen, which again creates an awkward situation. A little later, Keshi learns that her sister has passed out. Rushing to her, the girl tries to support Leonju, but their conversation ends in a scandal. The martial artist's sister is disappointed that Keshi never understood her or noticed that she is in love with Zixio and wants to be with him. Trying to do something good, Keshi writes to the guy and asks him to visit her sister, buying her strawberries. The next morning, the girl goes jogging and Shuno follows her, afraid that Keshi will get injured. She ends up almost getting hit by a man on a moped, and the girl does injure her leg. A little later, the couple and Yangsen go to see a journalist to get him to sign a contract with them. Former director Wu also wants to get the man's mind, so this negotiation is of immense importance. The writer turns out to be a little crazy and asks to prepare the competitors' proposals at the same time, after which he will choose the more attractive option. Shuno discusses interesting ideas with his assistant, but Keshi sends their conversation to former director Wu. The girl wouldn't want to set up her boss, but Director Wu has promised to take care of her father's sports section if he wins the dispute for the writer. Jixio visits and supports Leonju, and Keshi buys a jasmine flower on her way home to support the old lady and decorate the businessman's house. Soon Jixio makes a row over the flower, but the girl starts tickling him, seeing a sincere smile on the man's face for the first time. A little later, Jixio and Leonju meet again, but the girl realizes that the guy is not in love with her, but with her sister Keshi. At the same time, Keshi meets a rival and continues to report to him everything about Jixio's every move. She tries to ferret out plans for a contract, but only does so at the last minute. Despite this, Director Wu concludes the contract with the writer, which damages Shuno's reputation, with the girl as close as possible to being exposed as a traitor. After the incident, the assistant assumes that Keshi betrayed them, but Shuno blindly believes the girl and does not doubt her loyalty. After the writer refused to renew the contract, problems begin in the corporation. First, Shuno is pressured by journalists, after which the meeting is demanded by the director, who reminds him that he can be sent to resign if he leads the business to collapse. Shuno promises to rectify the situation and at the same time rejects Jixio's offer to make a movie about the fighters, increasing their visibility. In the evening, the girl tries to talk to Shuno and does not hesitate to peep at him in the bathroom. She is grateful for the trust and feels guilty for actually betraying the man she feels sympathy for. The next morning, Shuno accidentally runs into Leonju and notices the bracelet on her arm, assuming that she was the one who supported him during the accident. The businessman immediately falls in love with the girl and follows him, saddened to learn that she is meeting Jixio at a cafe. Meanwhile, the director persuades the beauty to take part in a showdown, and Kexia supports her. Her sister is also supposed to fight, but her father and coach are adamantly opposed to Kexi stepping into the ring. While Yangsen continues to flirt with Linwen, Sino watches TV to watch Leonju for the first time. Keshi is jealous of him, but the man doesn't hide his sympathy for the ring hottie, not realizing that she and Keshi are half-sisters. The next morning, Jixiao arranges a business meeting with a businessman, to which he invites Leonju. When he meets her, Shuno doesn't take his eyes off the beautiful girl, which is noticed by the others. Keshi senses the love in the man's heart and is saddened by it. Without discussing the details, Shuno agrees to all of Leunju's conditions, only to approve the project with her participation. This annoys Keshi because she knows how the man feels about her half-sister. Keshi has strange feelings for Shuno and decides to consult with her assistant. After telling her worries, the girl realizes with Yangsen's help that she is in love with her boss and is jealous of him. A little later, Keshi asks Shuno if he loves her sister, but the man ignores the question. Knowing that Keshi is sad, the boss assumes that she has fallen in love with him, but the girl is afraid to tell the truth and runs away. Yangsen tries to talk to the boss to reason with him. According to the assistant, Shuno shouldn't love Leunju just out of gratitude for the past, because Keshi is constantly by his side and they are good together. Soon Director Wu comes to see Shuno to fight over the writer's publications and copyrights. The lawyer knows how to defend himself, so the enemy leaves with nothing and promises to take revenge for obstructing his writer's work. Leaving the office, Mr. Wu orders Keshia to keep following Shuno and find his weak spot to destroy the businessman and his reputation. In the evening, her friends asked Kexia to participate in a competition, but the girl is afraid her father will be angry with her. Jixio offers a way out of the situation, in which Keshia will hide her face behind a mask, thanks to which she will become popular and her father will not find out anything. The next day, Shuno watches Leunju's photo shoot and Keshi hurts him out of jealousy. In the evening, Shuno finds out that Keshi is going to fight and is nervous about the girl. Feeling their hearts beating fast, the couple realizes that they love each other but are afraid to admit it to themselves. After checking his pulse with his assistant's watch, Shuno becomes convinced that he wants Keshi and not her sister, but doesn't jump to conclusions. The next morning, Shuno prepares breakfast for Keshia, knowing that she is starting her critical days, and it will hurt both her and him. The boss practically turns into a slave to his bodyguard, but suddenly realizes that she is tricking him and feels good, causing the couple to fight.